Hello. I'm gonna try this again. And again and again until I get it right. Let's see. Am I live? Yeah, I'm live. Let's go. Okay. So some stuff happened with my internet recently, but I restarted my computer and it'll be totally fine now. Yeah. We're good. So, let's get back into it, shall we? Immediately where we left off. Looks like it's going fine. You gotta do this. You gotta save Iris. Why are you so sure she's innocent? Because she's cute? Watch your mouth! Anyway, I've made up my mind about it. I'm going to marry that girl. Mr. Edgeworth is pretending he didn't hear you, so I'm gonna ask for him. Have you already asked this girl to marry you? No, not yet, but I can tell how she feels by the look in her eyes. She's got this. I really want this man to carry me over the threshold look. I'm sure Nick would be surprised. He'd never imagined that I could marry such a beautiful girl like that. Something tells me he would be shocked indeed. That's why I didn't want her to do anything dangerous. I mean, what am I gonna do if she gets hurt? What is this guy trying to say? He lost me about a mile back. If we really want to know the answer to that, we're going to have to drag him onto the witness stand. Come to think of it, you still haven't answered my question. Where were you, and what were you doing last night? Aw man, don't you have anything else to talk about? That kind of attitude, you'll never be a ladies' man like me. Okay, chill out with those scary eyes. I got it. If you really want to know, last night, I saw something incredible. Something incredible. Great. Yeah, but let's not talk about that now. Let's talk about the good old days. What do you say? Come on, I'll pour you a nice cup of hot water. Why hasn't he realized that I absolutely despise talking about the good old days, especially with him? Well, I can pretty much put together exactly what he was doing here. Alright. Night of the crime, baby. Alright, now you're going to tell me what you really saw last night. Oh, you're really upset, aren't you, Edgy? Okay, I'll talk. Huh? That was a bit too easy. Yeah, anyway, it was awesome! Never seen anything like it! Around 10 o'clock last night it started thundering. I've been sleeping, not sure for how long. Suddenly, zing! The world in front of me went white! Like I'd just been slapped in the face by my own girlfriend Naomi. And then, it was on fire! The bridge was on fire! Dusky Bridge was caught on fire. Are you saying you saw it with your own eyes? Hey, why are you giving me the evil eye? I'm telling the truth! There are still 3 Psycholocks remaining. That means he's still trying to hide something. By the way, Larry, where were you when you saw that happen? Where, you say? What do you mean? What do you mean, what do I mean? Just answer the question! I was in my own room, by the main hall. Where else would I be? As usual, you're as transparent as an empty jar, and an empty jelly jar. The problem, I suspect, lies there. There? What do you mean, there? It's impossible for you to have seen lightning strike Dusky Bridge from your room. It's not even close to... This is a map of the area. Just take a look around the vicinity of Hazakura Temple. What am I looking for? I think that should be fairly obvious. The main hall is surrounded by trees, and it's impossible to see the bridge from there. What? Why didn't you tell me that before? I thought you knew. Well, how about it? How about what? Do you feel like talking now? About what? It looks like it won't be that easy after all. You leave me no choice. I'll have to move on to the next step. You weren't in your room at the temple. So then, where were you? You don't know that I wasn't in my room. So where was Larry and why was he there? If I've read the situation up to this point correctly, the answer is fairly obvious. Very well then, let's test my theory. The place you witnessed lightning striking Dusky Bridge from was... here. It's obviously Heavenly Hall because he was waiting for Iris there, and he sent her that note. The place you saw the lightning strike from was, naturally, Heavenly Hall. Why would I be hanging out in this old shack? It's freezing cold, there's no electricity, and it could fall apart at any minute. Larry, how do you know that anyway? How do you know there's no electricity? After all, it's not that dark yet. Uh-oh. In other words, you have just provided evidence to prove my theory. My theory that you've at least once in your life visited Heavenly Hall after sunset. I have to admit, I'm impressed, Edgy. You're in a totally different league from Nick. That's nice. Now tell me, what were you doing at this cold little shack last night? That's what you might call a faire decor. I think you mean a faire decor. Could it be you were waiting for someone? Oh no, you really are one scary guy, you know. I believe last night you were waiting for this person to come meet you. It's obviously Iris. Yeah! There's only one person you'd wait for in a horrible place like this, Larry. I told you before, don't call me Larry. The person you were waiting for was Iris. Oh, suddenly I feel cold all over. Edgy? No doubts because of my chilly glare. So you think I got the hots for Sister Iris, huh? Do you have some kind of evidence? You got something that proves I was waiting for her? Or are you just guessing? This is where I draw the line and end this ridiculous little game. Here's the evidence that proves you were waiting for Iris. It's this note that you sent her that looks like a blackmail note. Here's your evidence. You called her to this spot with a pathetic blackmail letter. Oh, hey! Get that back! You're embarrassing me! What are you doing with that anyway? That's not important. I misjudged you, Larry. What do you mean? Taking advantage of a woman's frailty like that. You should be ashamed of yourself! Oh. First of all, what's at the top of the letter? It says, salutation here. Well, that's what it said in that book, Letter Writing for Dummies. You're not supposed to actually write that. That's why you're supposed to write, Dear Iris. I'm so sorry. Larry, you dumbass. I love you, but you're a dumbass. So you were in Heavenly Hall last night, weren't you, Larry? And you saw the lightning hit Dusky Bridge, didn't you? Sorry, Edgy. Sorry doesn't cut it, you scumbag, threatening a young lady like that. Wait, hold up. What now, pal? What are you talking about? What threatening stuff? I'll tell you what, you tried to scare Iris by threatening to expose a secret, pal. What do you mean, threaten? When did I threaten her? Unless you want your secret to be exposed. That just sounds like a threat to me, pal. Blackmail, in fact. Give me a break, it's a love letter. Haven't you ever been in love? What did you just say? My love for her burns so hotly it could melt all the snow on this mountain. Oh? Then what is this secret you mentioned? Come on, Edgy. Don't you get it? I'm talking about the secret love between her and me. Obviously, she wouldn't want Old Lady Bikini to know about it, right? Our hot and sour, bittersweet love affair. Alright, then why did you send a love letter in a business-like manila envelope? Give me a break! It's not my fault I didn't have any other envelopes. Yeesh. Then why were you so quick to apologize, pal? It's 'cause Edgy gave you that scary look of his. What's wrong, Edgy? Why are you so quiet all of a sudden? That's it? That's what all those huge locks were about? I don't understand why you were so defensive. Well, I don't know either. Guess the thing is, you shouldn't expect too much from a guy like me. Hey, come on, don't let me get you down. But Mr. Edgeworth, this guy is still hiding something, I know it. What do you mean, detective? Don't forget what this guy just said a minute ago. If you really want to know, last night, I saw something incredible. He's right. for once. Larry! What? You're looking at me like a hungry dog that just found a bone. What was this something incredible you saw last night? You're going to tell me, Larry, one way or another. Even if I have to shake it out of you. I already told you, didn't I? I saw lightning strike Dusky Bridge. Yes, and I believe it was the incredible sight you saw. But now that I think about it, something doesn't quite ring true. What doesn't? If that's all there is to your story, your heart wouldn't have had all those knocks. Therefore, Larry, I do believe you saw something last night. Something more incredible than lightning. What? When? Where? Why? How? Hey! What do you think you're doing? If you hide anything from Mr. Edgeworth, I'll arrest you on the spot, pal. 5? No! What's wrong, sir? Does this mean I have to do it all over again? Why are you glaring at me like I'm next to be hit by a bolt of lightning? I've just about had it with this Harlequin. If I really want to drag the truth out of him, I'll just have to drag him to the witness stand. Alright. I literally only had that left. Okay, trial time! Trial time! This is gonna be a pretty short trial section. It's fine. Oh my! Mr. Lorrace feels that way about me? Well, yeah. Apparently, he isn't aware of your This is no time to be embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'm just hardly accustomed to that sort of thing. Don't tell me. There we go. Worry not. And in any case, whatever it was that he saw on the night of the incident, mark my words, I will drag it out of him. Does that mean Mr. Lorrace is the witness today? No. I believe that none will be the first to take the stand. Sister Bikini. She claims to have seen the very instant in which you carried out the crime. I just want to ask you one last time. It really wasn't you who killed Miss Listo Nim, correct? That is correct. It wasn't me. Very well then. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes? You are a prosecutor, aren't you? Are you sure about this? If your true identity is revealed... Don't worry. I've made the necessary arrangements. I see. Iris. It is a prosecutor's job to doubt people. But right now, I am a defense attorney. A defense attorney's job is to believe in people, and to believe until the bitter end. That's what my friend once told me. Mr. Edgeworth, I simply ask that you watch and decide for yourself whether or not I am fit to do the task I have been entrusted. Very well, sir. I leave my defense in your capable hands. Court is now in session for the trial of Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The defense does indeed appear to be ready. However, the same cannot be said for the prosecution in this case. Indeed. Where is she? I'm not sure I like such a blatant waste of this court's time. An empty prosecutor's chair can only mean that the prosecutor has no confidence in their ability to prove their case. It would seem this case is already over before it had a chance to begin. I am ready to announce my verdict at this time. This court finds the defendant... Ow! Yeah! Here she is! Hello, Franziska! The prosecution stands ready. And you are? Franziska von Karma, prosecuting prodigy. Von Karma, you say? Perchance you wouldn't be of any relation to the legendary prosecutor Manfred von Karma. Legends are a thing of the past. I am a von Karma, that is all. Upon a special request, I flew in today for the purpose of prosecuting this case. did? Then you must be quite a big shot, eh? By the way, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor? I am almost certain that I've seen you somewhere before. Or am I just imagining things? You look very much like a prosecutor I met once. I believe you are imagining things, Your Honor. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Miss Von Karma, do you have anything to say? There is no such weakling as this man among those of the prosecutor's office. There isn't? But I'm sure in this courtroom— Ah! I told you there is no such weakling! What is that, a whip? I'm not sure I care for such a thing in my courtroom. But bailiff, remove that whip at—
Hold it!
I have no objection to the whip. You don't? The prosecution can wield a whip or drink 17 cups of coffee, but there is still only one truth. That is what I stand here to prove today. He's so real for this. This promises to be interesting. Miles Edgeworth. I had expected to face Phoenix Wright here today, but looking at you now, maybe this is what I have been waiting for all this time. Miles Edgeworth, I will not allow this chance to crush you slip through my fingers. I see you brought your flair for the histrionic. Allow me to add to the things I'm not sure about. People acting bizarrely in my courtroom. In my court. Ah! The stage is set. Now proceed with the Now continue with the proceedings, Your Honor. I was about to say proceed with the proceedings. Very well. Miss Von Karma, please give an outline of this case. With as little whipping as possible. The murder victim is the famed picture book author Miss Elise de Nim. Her body was found in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. She had been stabbed through the torso by a ceremonial sword from a golden statue. Where is my Francisca voice? I can't get it! The sword in this picture. This is the weapon in question, correct? Very well. The court accepts this photo of the crime scene. There is no mistake. This was the doing of Sister Iris. After all, there was a witness to her crime. Very well. Please bring this witness to the stand. And so it begins. My first and last trial as a defense attorney. Witness, state your name and occupation, please. Hold on here, I'm not sure about being not sure if I care for this at all. Witness, please stand up nice and straight. If I recall correctly, there are a few milk crates in the defendant's lobby for our back pain-plagued witness. Bailiff, fetch a crate for this poor lady, please. Yes. Once again, your name and occupation, please. Where is the German? Little old me? Little old me? Well, I'm the head nun of Hazakura Temple on Eagle Mountain. My name is Bikini. You got it? Bikini! Nice to meet everyone. But you don't appear to be wearing a bikini right now. Ah! The courtroom is the garden of holy judgment. Those with lecher in their hearts should leave the sanctuary at once. You want me to leave? No need to get your bikinis in a twist. Let me tell you, I'm no sight to behold in summer. In any case, witness, I hear that you saw the crime take place on the night in question. That's right. I can still hardly believe it myself, to be honest. There's no way dear little Iris could do anything like that. Let us hear what you had to say, then. First, tell us about your own movements that night, eh? Mr. Canadian Judge. Alright. That night, I was helping an acolyte with her training in the inner temple, but... well, as you can see, my backlight sacked up violently. So, I left Iris to help the acolyte and returned to Hazakura Temple. There's no bath in the inner temple, you see, and I needed a long, hot soak. It was after I had finished, just as I was heading back. That's when I saw it. So, it's simply coincidence that you found yourself returning to Hazakura Temple. Yes, you could say that. If my back hadn't been in so much pain, I would have stayed at the inner temple. That sounds like a pretty important statement she just made. There's only one problem with this testimony that I can see. And you're not about to fall at the first hurdle now, are you, Miss Miles Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth, please begin your cross-examination. We got this. Okay, well, she told me that, no. She was in her room until the murder was discovered.
Objection!
Witnesses had to undergo their own trials, I'm afraid. The defendant's fate rests on their powers of observation and memory, after all. Well, well, well. Don't worry, I'm more than up to the task. I'm a woman of faith, after all. The head honcho of Hazakura Temple. In that case, Miss Honcho, I'd like you to explain something for me. The discrepancy between your testimony and that of the defendant, Iris. She claims that after ringing the lights out bell, she went back and stayed in her room. Which means she did not go to the inner temple at all. No! She said that? A defendant or a witness? Who is more likely to lie, do you suppose? The defendant is simply lying to cover her back.
Objection!
But that is completely illogical. The murder was committed in the courtyard of Hazakura Temple. Claiming that she went to the inner temple would make for a much better alibi. But that is odd. Whatever the reason, I can't believe that she would lie. She does indeed have honest eyes. Ugh! All people lie. That is my belief. Why am I the only one being whipped in here? Anyway, neither the witness nor the defendant have any reason to lie, which means we must call your memory into question. Dear, 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 you're older than me and yet you want to play that game, do you? Well, that isn't exactly what My memory is perfect. Crystal clear, especially in winter. Uh-huh, sure. Then, I suppose it's too early to end this cross-examination, eh? Mr. Edgeworth, if you are going to question the memory of this witness, you will need to show me a more decisive piece of evidence. Understood, Your Honor. I was naive to think that alone would do the trick. Then please add your comments about Iris to the testimony. I cannot do a Canadian accent, fuck. And let us return to the cross-examination. That night I was helping an acolyte with her training in the inner temple, but, as you can see in my backlights, she was dressed exactly as she had been at dinner. Uh-huh, well... Received before the lights out bell the night of the crime. Boosh. Witness, let's get one thing straight. The defendant whom you claim to have met, she was wearing this demon warding hood, correct? Of course. That is a very important piece of clothing, I'll have you know. Wait a minute.
Objection!
Hold it right there. Why do you have that? That's the question of the day now, isn't it, Miss Von Karma? I'll have you know that this hood was given to someone as a gift that night, before the lights out bell was rung. What? You know where I'm going with this, don't you? If the witness had seen the defendant as she claims, then the iris she saw should have been missing this very hood. Well, well, well. Are there spares? I'm pretty sure there's spares. It's not a bad feeling at all, exposing contradictions like this. Now I understand that happy look on Wright's face every time he does it. That's so cute, actually. Order! Order in the court! Respect your witness! Sister, this hood. You have spare ones around the temple, don't you? Spares? Well, I do tend to make too many of them. I see. A stockpile. A surplus of hoods, eh? Each nun is only given one hood. This should be the only hood that Iris owned. Wait, where's... Lost... Okay. Then this is quite strange. Ah! If there was a surplus of hoods, then she could have worn one of those. There is no contradiction here. I'm sorry to break this to you, Miss Von Karma, but you won't get away that easily. Discrepancy such as this will sow seeds in any human heart. The seeds of doubt. Witness. While I don't wish to call your testimony into doubt, you must give every detail with precision. I'm not sure I'm comfortable going along with this. Sister, you shall continue with your testimony. Tell us what you saw after finishing your bath on your way back to the inner temple. The seeds of doubt are sprouting in the judge's heart. They just need a little more stimulation to bear fruit. Contradictory stimulation. After my bath. see here. I finished my bath around 11, and I thought I should return to the inner temple. And as I was walking back, I heard a noise from the courtyard. I took a look, and Iris was... Oh, with that sword of all things! Mystic Elise was staying in the corner room, which faces out onto the courtyard. The stabbing I saw must have occurred after she was pushed out of her window. Uh-huh. You saw a truly terrible sight, didn't you? If I was in your place... Let me check this again. After death, yeah. Posthumously. Then it would be much like Miss Von Karma whipping Mr. Edgeworth in court. And me seeing it all from this very chair. Well, something like that. This judge... His imagination is creative as Detective Gumshoe. I would look the fool if I would comment... I would look the fool if I commented on such foolishness. There's the foolhardy. Anyway, this case is mine, Miles Edgeworth. Calling everyone by their full name. Can't you do something about that habit of yours? I finished my bath around 11, yes. You dumbass, it was posthumous.
Objection!
Impressive logic. That's what I'd like to say, anyway. Oh, please do. My brain is something else, especially in winter. However, I think you are overlooking one thing. Miss Von Karma, would you be so kind as to take another look at the autopsy report? The autopsy report. The victim did fall from a height of 10 feet. However, this fall was after she was killed. Ah! That's right! It says after death right there! The scene the witness claims to have seen is contradictory. If the defendant stabbed and killed the victim there in the courtyard, how did the victim then go on to take a 10-foot fall? Look at her, she's standing on like 2 boxes. Order! Order! The victim was killed and then fell. If that is the case, then the victim must have been killed in her room, don't you agree? That is the logical conclusion. Yes, that's right. The victim must have been stabbed by the defendant in her own room, and then she was thrown out of her window down into the courtyard below.
Objection!
Were there any signs of a struggle in Miss Dunham's room? She was stabbed with a sword. That would leave a good blood stain, wouldn't you agree? Well, Miss Von Karma, was there any blood? Ah! No traces of blood were found in the victim's room. Your whip has just caused traces of blood to be found on my glorious playoff beer. However, if there was no blood in the room, then you're claiming that— Ah! I'm sure there's no need for me to go over this, as I'm sure your honor is well aware of when a stab wound produces the most blood. When it produces the most blood, very little blood is actually lost at the moment of a blade's insertion. If you want to talk about when the most blood will be lost from a body, that would be when the blade is removed. Indeed, with the weapon still in place, it acts like a lid on the wound. That's true. With the weapon still in the body, there wouldn't be much bleeding. A perfectly reasonable line of thinking. We have come to a conclusion, then. The victim was thrown out of the window with the sword still in place. This removes all of the contradictions. Sure. Wouldn't the sword have bent? Order, order, order! I must admit that this is a probable version of events. She was found near the fucking statue. I'd expect no less from Franziska von Karma. She locates and takes control of every vital point. It seems that we need a clearer testimony from the witness. Remove all supposition on your part and tell us only the facts, please. Witness, please! Remain standing on the crate! Don't go selling me short now! The weight of winter snow has bent me out of shape, especially my back and my mood. Sister, please, give us your testimony. I will give you a vigorous massage once we are finished here. With the whip? Oh boy. Alright. Making deals with the witness. You really will do anything, won't you? When I looked across at the scene, the sword was already in place. Thinking about it now, I didn't actually see her stab Mystic Elise. I I'd never seen so much blood before. That's when I fainted. You can't blame me, can you? When I awoke, Mystic Ami was stabbing Mystic Elise through the back. This is all confirms Miss Von Karma's theory. Von Karma strive for nothing but perfection. Putting together such facts is nothing for me. You should know that by now. You should know that, Miles Edgeworth. Perfection is an impossibility, Franziska Von Karma, and I'm here to teach you just that. As your younger, older, adopted brother. Or a foster brother, I guess. Okay, wait. There's only blood on the tip of the... Okay. No? Nah. Forgive me. Don't play mind games. Curses. Okay, wait. Elaborate, please. So you're saying that you saw the victim's blood? That's right. Some of it had splattered onto Iris, too. When the defendant was arrested, she was meditating in her room, and her blood-flecked clothing was neatly folded in the corner. What? Her clothes were blood-flecked as well? That seems quite conclusive to me. What should I do? Press this point further? Obviously. Going back to your previous statements, you said that you saw little bleeding when the victim was stabbed, but now you say you saw the victim bleeding. Well, I say that what I saw is what I saw. What did you see? Maybe I didn't see the poor woman get stabbed, but I saw the girl pull the sword out of her plain as day. Pulling the sword out. Well, it wasn't exactly pulling. It was more like it came out. Witness, you will add this statement to your testimony. Oh, was that important? More important than you can imagine. I saw the plunged into the hilt. You dumbass, there's only blood on the tip. And there's no way it could have gone through her completely. There are like 7 branches on it. Sister Bikini, you are a reliable witness. At least I'd like to think so. But there are too many contradictions here. What do you mean? You make it sound as though I'm a liar. But you're a handsome young man, so I'll forgive you. What contradictions are you talking about? In the scene that the witness claims to have seen, the weapon was thrust up to its hilt into the victim. Furthermore, the killer withdrew the weapon smoothly from the body. However, both of these are complete impossibilities. I mean, look at the amount of blood on the sword itself. What do you mean? Please explain. Wah! Explain yourself! To start with, do you think it would be possible to stab someone to the hilt with this? No matter how I look at the defendant, she doesn't appear strong enough for that. Objection! Doesn't appear? What may appear to be weak and frail, but I can crush men under my heel and make them weep should I so choose. Oh, please do. The objection stands. I whipped a little back there, I must admit. That isn't the only issue here. If the sword was truly stabbed into the body up to the hilt, well, just look at all the branches on it. It certainly wouldn't come out smoothly. We also have the problem of the amount of bleeding. It's true that when a blade is left in a body, it acts as a plug of sorts. However, when the weapon is shaped like this, it's an entirely different story. The wound would be too large for the blade to completely stop the bleeding. That's nothing more than conjecture. In reality, the victim was stabbed with a shishito. Even a weapon of this nature may still sometimes slide out smoothly and may still sometimes stop the blood loss. You sure about that? I'm not finished. There is still one more conclusive contradiction, which you should have pointed out first. You've still got more? Oh, he's just rubbing it in her face. This one is simple. If the sword really was thrust in all the way to the hilt, why is there only blood on the tip of it? If this witness is telling the truth, then there should be blood along the entire length of the sword. No! She's so small. Ah! Bravo, Miles Edgeworth. Raising this many contradictions from a single piece of evidence. All the other attorneys I know could maybe manage one, if that. But what does this all mean? We've proven contradictions regarding the murder weapon, but Having come this far, there can only be one answer. And that is... the weapon used to kill the victim was not the Shishishito. What? A foolishly foolish idea born from the foolish mind of a foolhardy foolish fool. Let's examine this again. What was it that made us think this sword was the murder weapon? Well... it's because Mystic Army was holding it. Exactly. However, if you reflect on this, that is the only basis we have to assume such a thing. The impression left by the scene was just too strong. That is what influenced us. It influenced us to believe that the Shishishito was the murder weapon. So you're saying it wasn't? Order, order, order! Wah! So maybe the Shishishito was not the murder weapon. Even if that is the case, it changes nothing, Miles Edgeworth. The sister here saw everything. She saw the defendant stab the victim with a sword-like object. That's true. Your response, Mr. Edgeworth? If that is so, I would like the prosecution to answer the obvious question it raises. The obvious question? Yes, namely, where did the real murder weapon disappear to? It goes without saying that the police searched the main hall in the surrounding area. Perhaps the prosecution can enlighten us as to if a sword-like object was found. That's... Answer the question, Miss Von Karma. No evidence of that kind was found. Boosh. I mean, we have it, but you know. Another mystery to throw onto the pile. A trial without a murder weapon is a tricky beast. Excuse me, could I say something? I just remembered something, actually. What is it, sister? I was just thinking, it's possible that just maybe what actually happened was... it was just over there. What exactly are you going on about here? The murder weapon, I mean! Maybe. I think I might know where the sword was disposed of. You what? Well then. I think we need to hear testimony from you one more time, sister. Impossible! What else? What else could this old woman have seen? I wonder. I saw the murder at around 11 p.m. And after asking that it be reported, I went out to the main gate. And there, I saw tracks. Tracks that indicated the snowmobile had been used. It takes 15 minutes to walk to Dusky Bridge, but less than 5 using one of those. Maybe they threw the weapon into Eagle River and came back while I was knocked out? Iris could have done that. She could drive a snowmobile after all. Witness, please tell us everything you know right away next time. Well, I'm not in the best of shape, and what with my back and my age, you know. Quite. There were indeed snowmobile tracks in front of the main gate. Here is a photograph. A snowmobile, eh? I see. Well, it certainly is an interesting theory. The tracks begin in front of Hazakura Temple and run all the way to Dusky Bridge. Looks like they went back from Dusky Bridge. That solves your pesky little problem, yes? The Eagle River's current is quite swift, meaning that it doesn't freeze over in winter, making it the perfect place to dispose of the murder weapon. Did she really go to the river to dispose of the murder weapon? Mr. Edgeworth, your cross-examination, please. Let's see here. Doesn't look like there's any snow on the snowmobile, and the tracks haven't been covered, so...
Objection!
I admit this photograph proves something. It proves that the snowmobile was used on the night of the murder. You finally accepted the inevitable, it seems, Miles Edgeworth. However, if what the witness says is true, then why is there only one set of tracks? What do you mean? Iris left Hazakura Temple, threw the weapon into the river, and then returned. If this was the case, then naturally there should be two sets of tracks in the snow. From those from heading out to the bridge and those from coming back. Ah, you're right. You are forgetting one thing, Miles Edgeworth. On the night of the murder, it was snowing. The tracks leading to the bridge were erased by the snowfall. This removes your precious contradiction now, doesn't it? I see. While she was at the river, the snow stopped, leaving just the return tracks in the snow. What do you have to say now, Miles Edgeworth? Is there a flaw in her theory? This idea that the snowfall covered one set of tracks. There is a contradiction. The tracks to the river were covered by snow. What a nice theory. However, Miss Von Karma, that is impossible. Would you care to explain? Why there is a rude index finger currently pointed in my general direction? No need. The evidence will do all of the talking for me. Boosh. On the night of the murder, the killer went to and returned from Dusky Bridge in order to dispose of the murder weapon. The outgoing tracks were erased by snow. Or so claims Miss Von Karma. Mr. Edgeworth, please, present your contrary evidence to the contrary, eh? They were not covered by snow because it was not snowing.
Take that!
Witness, please tell us again what time it was when you witnessed the crime. Like I said, it was around 11. Of course, this means that the weapon was thrown away after that time, correct? On that note, please take a look at this data. It is the weather report for Eagle Mountain on the night of the murder. The weather report? Snow started to fall at 7 p.m., but it stopped at around 10:50. Therefore, when the sister witnessed the crime at 11 p.m., the snow had already stopped falling. It is impossible for any tracks made after that time to have been covered up. Order! Order! Very well then. It looks like Miss Von Karma's claim has been snowed in. Little Canadian joke for you. It's too soon to be closing this trial due to snow. Miles Edgeworth, how pathetic of you to rely on the weather of all things. Answer me this, then. When is a weather report ever correct? Ah, no, you've got it all wrong. This isn't a forecast. This is actual data. Ah! Forecast data, all weather reports have some inaccuracies. It may still have been snowing in the vicinity well past 11 p.m. It's true. We cannot be totally sure, eh? What? How did she pull that off? It had stopped snowing at Hazakura Temple when the murder took place. You need to provide conclusive evidence of this. I've come this far. There's no turning back now. Very well. I too cannot allow any doubts to remain concerning this testimony. Ha! You can't back down, can you? Such a perfectionist, Miles Edgeworth. Very well then. Mr. Edgeworth, where is your evidence that it had already stopped snowing? Where is the photo of the crime? Crime photo. Oh yeah, there's no snow on her back. Ultimately, it all comes down to one point. That being, whether or not it was snowing in that courtyard when the victim was stabbed. That's right. But proving that is incredibly easy. If we want to know whether it was snowing or not, this photo will tell us everything. Of course, I am referring to the photo of the crime scene. As you can see, everything is covered with snow, with just one exception. And that is the victim herself, Miss Elise Donim. Why is there no snow on top of her? The answer is simple. It had stopped snowing when she was killed, that's why. In other words, if the killer really did go to the Eagle River to dispose of the murder weapon, then in this photograph there should be two sets of tracks. Ha! Order, order! Just what are you... Yeah! Just what are you suggesting, Miles Edgeworth? To be honest, I am not entirely sure myself, but This is simply what all of the facts point to. That night, someone used the snowmobile to leave Hazakura Temple. From the tracks left, it can be understood that they were heading for Dusky Bridge. At that time, it was still snowing. Of course it was, because those tracks were erased by the snow. Then, when this person returned to Hazakura Temple, the snow had stopped. Thus, the return tracks remained. Can I say something? This all sounds a bit fishy to me. What does, sister? There is only one key for the snowmobile. Furthermore, on the night in question, we know that the defendant had it. The key was found in her room after the murder. Which can only mean that night, Iris used the snowmobile to go to the inner temple. But Iris said that she never went there. I should probably press on this point some more when I get the chance. The snowmobile can't cross the suspension bridge, so she must have left it on the Hazakura side of the bridge and crossed on foot. That sounds right. But what's odd is, when I left Iris and returned to Hazakura Temple, I didn't see anything near Dusky Bridge. You must have just failed to see it, sister. Maybe, but when I made it back to Hazakura Temple, it was there, by the main gate. The snowmobile, I mean. I know what I saw. It was covered in snow, too. But that isn't possible. Order in the court. What does this all mean? So then, what was the snowmobile used for? It wasn't taken by the defendant when she went to the inner temple. If it had been, then the witness couldn't possibly have seen it by the gate. Furthermore, it wasn't used by the killer to dispose of the murder weapon. If that was the case, there should be 2 sets of tracks in this photo. All we know is this. After it stopped snowing, someone used the snowmobile to return to Hazakura Temple. I never thought a simple snowmobile could cause so much trouble. Well, snowmobiles are pretty complex, actually. I think we've learned all we can from this witness. Yes, I had nothing more to add. I told you everything that I know. But then, that still leaves us with the same problem. If only there was someone, a witness who could testify to having seen the snowmobile! If only! A witness, huh? Was there no one out walking perhaps near Dusky Bridge on that night? I don't think that's likely. It was cold enough to freeze your ears off. Only an idiot would go out wandering in that. Unless they had something really important to do. Wink, wink. That's a shame. Hold on. Something is coming to me. And idiots may well have gone wandering out on that subarctic night. Your Honor, actually, there just might be one individual who may be of help to us. Really? You know of someone who might have seen the snowmobile on the night of the murder? I don't know for sure if he saw it or not, but there are 2 things about him that do come to mind, which are, first, that he saw something incredible on the night of the murder, and the second being, this individual that I am thinking of went wandering outside on that cold night. In other words, he is our kind of idiot. I love him ragging on Larry, it's great. Who is this idiot you're talking about? This guy. Larry Butts. This guy must be a product of Jean-Luc Leduc's Guide to Obnoxious French Painting. This is Larry Butts, a disciple of the victim, Elise Donim. Her student. Interesting. And why was he wandering in boats outside on the night of the murder? That's... I could tell them all about his designs for Iris, but it may cost us his credibility as a witness before I even call him. He is, after all, an artist. He was, perhaps, searching for something in the snowy scenery that would move him, although I cannot guarantee that this is the reason. And so, this unfortunate, unreliable-looking man, what exactly was it that he saw? I intend to extract that from him right here in this courtroom. Summon this youth as a witness immediately. I have no choice, do I? I believe he is in the gallery for this trial. It will not take long to summon him. Very well. Larry. You may have escaped me yesterday, but today I'm going to get everything out of you. I'm going to take the piss out of you. The court will now adjourn for a 20-minute break. Miss Von Karma, please see to preparing the next witness. Understood, Your Honor. Good. Well then, court is now in recess. And I'm going to take a little break to go to the bathroom. I am back! Let's go! Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm not really sure what to say. Iris, we only have 20 minutes. There are 2 things which I need to ask you before we reconvene. Alright, I'll help you any way I can. First, about that night. You really didn't go to the inner temple, correct? The last witness claims to have met and talked with you in the training hall. Either you or Sister Bikini is lying. Mr. Edgeworth, it is just as I said yesterday. Until the incident occurred, I was in my own room in Hazakura Temple. Very well. The second thing, then. That night, the temple snowmobile was used in between the time Sister Bikini returned to the main hall and when she bore witness to the murder. Sometime between 10:30 and 11 p.m. that night. Were you the one who used the snowmobile? There was only one key for the snowmobile. The only person who could have used it was me. So it was you. But why? What made you go out to Dusky Bridge? I'm sorry, Mr. Edgeworth. Great. How many? I'm assuming 5. Yep! Iris, I can't tell you about that yet. Yet? Not until her safety is confirmed. Her? The safety of the Acolyte. The Acolyte, huh? She must be talking about Maya. Iris, look me in the eye and tell me the truth. Did you kill Elise Donim? No matter who or what may come, I could never take a life. As I thought, no Psycholocks. Very well. It is my job to get the truth. To get to the truth. You'll discover this for yourself soon enough. Court will now reconvene. Miss Von Karma, where is the witness? During the break, a man was detained for suspicious behavior in the gallery. Suspicious behavior? He was sketching something. Very intensely. Dare I ask what the witness was sketching when he was detained? He drew a terrifying woman armed with a demonic face and a vicious whip. I can only presume that his intention was to cut to you. Ah! Anyway, it's time to drag this pathetic excuse for an artist before the court. Loristo Nim, I hope you're ready. Get in here. It would seem that whip is going to see plenty more use today. Ouch! Your sketch is in contempt of this court. Hey, I was just artistically rendering. Ouch! You tried to run away from the bailiff who was trying to hand you your subpoena, correct? Look, I'm nothing but a fledgling artist training out in the mountains. I'm only down here in the city because I ran out of green paint. Well, they use the technical term for the color viridian. Larry, this isn't an art store now, is it? I know, I graduated junior high, okay? Look, art is all about working in the fields, isn't it? Working in the fields? I presume he wanted to say field work. Nope. That's it! Thanks, buddy! It's kind of sad that I was able to understand his mangled train wreck of a sentence. I just happened to stop in here and found a wonderful new model. So see? I got nothing to do with this trial at all! I expect all of your faces to be red when you realize this mistake. Bright red. Or, to use the technical term, Crimson Lake. Ouch! 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 Stop your pathetic blabbing and testify like a man. Refrain from whipping me, Miss Von Karma. Cross-whipping is as bad as cross-checking. Witness, that was all your fault. Testify. No. This is too much for me. Let's just get this over with. I was at that lodge out in the mountains looking up at the stars at night. I walked to the bridge a number of times, but I didn't see a snowmobile. I didn't see anyone at the bridge that night either. You dumbass, you literally met Phoenix. The girl I was waiting for didn't show up. My teacher died on me. I'm all alone now. Aren't I, Angie? You literally met with Phoenix that night. And please refrain from talking directly to the lawyers during your testimony. I'm just a nobody. Nothing but a small, worthless man, aren't I? And why wasn't I asked for my name and occupation? Or anything else? Mr. Edgeworth, this man seems to have quite a severe inferiority complex. He's recently been the cause of numerous incidents. I think he's finally realized for himself just how much of a nuisance he has been to other people. Yeah, that's right. I'm behind everything. Every case. I was the mastermind behind it all. Watch out, okay? Just touching me will make you eternally unhappy. Well, then let us proceed with the cross-examination. With no touching, thank you. We can delve into details at a later time. Y'all showed up for Larry, huh? You dumbass. Larry Butts. I can understand why you might want to throw your old life away. You're pretty pathetic and you cause all sorts of trouble. I'm sorry. But, having realized just how much of a nuisance you have been, that could be considered a step in the right direction. Edgy, are you trying to console me? It certainly doesn't sound that way to me. However, I cannot forgive you for simply turning away from the incidents you create. You're totally pinning this on me. Now then, let us talk about the night of the murder. Sister Bikini, after seeing the murder take place, asked Phoenix Wright to report it. Thus, he headed for the public phone by the bridge. There, he happened across a certain nefarious individual. You, Larry Butts. That's right, me, in the flesh. Listen carefully, witness. It doesn't matter if you change your name. So long as you remain pretty pathetic, you will continue to cause these incidents. That reality will not change. He is pretty pathetic. But what do you want me to do then? Larry, what you need to change is your inner self. Right now. What you saw that night, testifying truthfully about this one issue is all I need from you. Edgy, I think I've finally woken up. Well, I guess I could still be sleeping. But anyway, I'll do it! I'll testify! Well, I'm not sure this'll go especially well. Well, let's begin then, witness. What did you see on the night of the murder? What I saw part 2. I went to the shack at around 9, so it would have been about 10:30 p.m. I was lying under my bedding when a white flash almost blinded me. I looked out the window, and Dusky Bridge was on fire! There was still some thunder, but I went right away to check it out. No, there wasn't. That's when I ran into Nick. You certainly saw quite a lot, didn't you? So, what happened to the bridge after it caught on fire? It was like me after a 3-day stint chasing a girl. Totally burnt out. Like, almost totally gone. I mean, trying to cross the burning remains was what caused Nick to fall. What did you say? Oh, don't worry. It's nothing life-threatening. He just caught a cold. Phoenix, Wright, I never know with that man if he should be called lucky. Now, Mr. Edgeworth, please commence your cross-examination. I love that even Franziska's concerned for him. That's sweet. Yeah. Okay, wait, so... You said right away, but exactly how long after the strike was that? The lightning fell, and then the bridge caught on fire. Maybe around 5 minutes? I mean, I suddenly thought, gotta go check this out. How far is the small shack you were in from the bridge? Hold on, well, it had pretty much stopped snowing. Guess about a 5-minute walk? And how did Dusky Bridge look when you got there? Like I had recovered a piece of my childhood. I mean, not even the bonfires kids make during school camping trips can compare. Well, should I press him for a little more info? Why didn't you call anyone? There was a public phone there. Larry, let me ask you one thing. What is it, Edgy? What's with the serious face? Why didn't you call anyone? Huh? What do you mean? Normally, when faced with a towering inferno, one would try and tell someone. There is a public phone right by Dusky Bridge, correct? Well, of course I thought of doing that. So then, let's hear why you didn't. Huh? Yeah, okay. A reason. My reason. It isn't that I didn't try to tell anyone, I just didn't have time to, okay? Uh-huh. I arrived at the bridge, and Nick showed up less than a minute later. Sure. Around 30 minutes passed between the fire starting and going out.
Objection!
Okay. Your very existence being a contradiction, I'm not sure if you can grasp this or not. What the hey, Edgy? You make me sound like some sort of alien. But your testimony is conclusively contradictory. The problem here is time. I've never been the best timekeeper, you know? 3 minutes after Billy leaves on foot, you follow him on your bicycle. How long does it take for you to catch up with him? Terrible at those. That's a terrible example. This is much more simple. You saw the lightning strike Dusky Bridge, and immediately went to see what had happened. Is this correct? Yeah, well, I wasted about 5 minutes first, but more or less. I have the weather data from the night of the murder here. According to this, the lightning fell at 10:45 p.m. You say it takes less than 5 minutes from the shack to Dusky Bridge, meaning you probably got there at around 11 p.m. Hell, sounds about right, I guess. Then Nick showed up and did his falling act. That is impossible. What do you mean? What do you mean? 11 p.m. is when the murder occurred in Hazakura Temple. Thus, Wright was still there in the courtyard. There is no way that Larry could have encountered him at Dusky Bridge at that time. Oh. Ah, excuse me, I have an objection. You do? Edgy, how many times do I have to say this? I'm not Larry, I'm Lorista Nim. Yeah. It has not been proven that the murder occurred at 11 p.m. The sister only said around 11, in which case it could have been earlier than that. Watch your footing there, Miss Franziska von Karma. The slope ahead is slippery, for there is still no way that Wright could have been at Dusky Bridge at 11 p.m. And why not? It is clearly written here in the weather data report. It took around 30 minutes for the bridge to burn out. Therefore, the bridge must have been burning until at least 11:15 p.m. Which means, what exactly? Wright did not see the bridge while it was being consumed by the flames that night. In fact, he did not arrive on the scene until after the flames had died down. Larry, you arrived at the bridge at 11 p.m., but Wright did not make it there until at least 11:15. I suggest you stop hiding things and just tell us the whole truth. Now then, what happened during these missing 15 minutes? I feel like I just got brutally woken up by a toilet splashback. Ugh. I guess I was still sleeping after all. Pinch me! Order, order, order! Ah! So there was a missing 15 minutes prior to meeting Phoenix Wright. I hardly see that as much of a problem. Yeah, not much of a problem at all. Really? The bridge is burning before your eyes, and there is a phone right next to it. Why then, did you not report the accident? Yes, witness, why didn't you? Were you there simply to watch the bridge burn? And therein lies the problem. For even after the bridge had burnt out, he was still there. Staring into space, this witness didn't even attempt to fulfill his civic duty. That's what it sounds like. But this is Larry we are talking about, and even he is incapable of being so stupid. Which means there has to be a reason for his inaction. Edgy. I think it's about time I got serious with you, dude. Just as I thought, you've been playing with us all this time. You mastermind. Listen, I'm going to tell you everything. Are you sure you want to hear it all? Yes. I may really say it this time. Everything. Then say it. Very well. I have a terribly bad feeling about this. However, let's have the witness finally give us the whole truth. Now, for this 15-minute gap, what were you doing, witness? I forget. Apologies to any Canadians watching this. I forget what Canadian accents sound like. I'm a donem. I'm an artist. What do you think I was doing? Sketching! In front of the bridge! I was whipped up into a frenzy of art. The shock and awe that I was feeling, I transferred it all directly onto the page. Before I realized that the flames had gone out, and then he came running up. I suppose artists can be strange folk. That's right. I'm willing to sacrifice everything in order to draw the perfect sketch, including the truth from the sound of it. Mr. Edgeworth, has this removed the last of your doubts? Not at all, Your Honor. One very large doubt still remains. And what would that be? This is a surprisingly believable story, considering the source. Especially considering the source. So why did he think he needed to hide it from us until now? I intend to drag the reason out of him. You'll regret this, Edgy. This fucking... Alright. I'm a donem. I'm an artist. Okay, wait. Sketching the burning bridge. The burning bridge and everything that came with it. What? Came with it? You want to hear this from my lips, do you, Edgy? You'll regret this. That sketch of mine is... Yeah! Enough. Just take that ridiculous sketch of yours out already, witness. What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. That does indeed appear to be the fastest solution. I'll leave it to you, Mr. Edgeworth. What should I do? I've got a terrible feeling that the instant this sketch is revealed, the entire world may be changed by what is depicted there. Look at the sketch! Let's see this world-changing sketch! Larry, I wonder if you could show us your sketch, please. Please? Well, even I couldn't have imagined it'd turn out like this. Imagined what? That Maurice Denim's debut would take place here, today, like this. Ouch! Show it, now! Okay, but steel yourselves. This is the world of Maurice Denim. Well, so this is Dusky Bridge, correct? Quite a large bridge, isn't it? Your response, Miss Von Karma. Yes, well, it's a better drawing than I expected. Isn't it? Isn't it? I struggled to reproduce those flames. I really did. Yes, I'm sure you did. This is going to get ugly. No one has the courage to bring it up, it seems. This mysterious flying object. Larry. What? The burning bridge is fine. But what is that unfortunate-looking figure? You spotted that? Thought you might. However much I might want to ignore it, I can't. It's Iris, of course. Iris! I wish she'd take better care of herself. We have to plan for our future, you know? What would have happened to her if she had injured herself flying like that? Larry, please, answer this next question honestly. Okay. Are you really claiming to have seen this? Are you claiming to have seen the silhouette of the defendant flying over a bridge that was engulfed in flames? Yep, that's what I saw. That's why I drew it. I'm an artist. A real artist. Are you high? The girl, she's high, really high up in this picture. I love that joke. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. What was that for? This is all a bad dream. I was hitting you on the cheek to test that theory. Please whip your own cheek from now on, if you wish to test wild theories. Anyway. No court of law will ever acknowledge that people can fly. Actually, there is some precedent for this. She was flying pretty high, my sweet Iris. She was about 30 feet above the bridge at least. It was really something to see. This has to be some kind of mistake. Mr. Edgeworth, please bring the witness back down to earth. What's me? This witness is your friend, is he not? Accessory to foolishness, Miles Edgeworth. Let us get back to the cross-examination, by force if necessary. Mr. Edgeworth, I expect you to expose the obvious contradiction here. Yes, Your Honor. Looks like I've got another reason to remember this moron. Well, what did you think of my debut piece? Get that thing away from me! Thank you. Now hurry up and cross-examine him. Well, she wasn't wearing her hood? We've already been through this with Sister Bikini. She wasn't wearing her hood at the time. Larry, what did you really see that night? Not that I particularly care. In your position, that's just being irresponsible. I drew exactly what I saw. I'll give you a whole $1 if that is the truth. If that is truly the case, then there is one thing that we can say for certain. What might that be? That the person who flew over the bridge could not have been the defendant, Iris. What? What do you mean? I don't understand. A foolhardy folly of a foolish statement by an equally foolishly foolhardy fool. Man, that one was hard. How exactly can you make this claim? Tell us, Larry. According to this picture, the individual whom you say you saw was wearing a hood, correct? Of course she was. That rundown shack is quite away from the bridge. The hood is what told me that this floating angel was my Iris. The hood is my darling Iris, and Iris is my darling hood. Ah! It seems there are bigger fools in this world than the one at the defense's bench. Larry, that's something you need to be made aware of. On the night of the murder, Iris wasn't wearing her hood. She had given it to Wright as a gift. Are you going to change your story now? Perhaps suggest it was Wright who took flight? What are you talking about? I think you understand what I mean just fine. Why? Why did Nick have Iris's hood? What? Edgy! What's going on with Iris and Nick? Why you, Nick? You dog! Lamau. I do believe that this unbelievably mysterious sketch is destined to disappear, discredited, and discarded straight into the garbage. Ha! Bold and brash, More like belongs in the trash. Ah! What is it now, witness? It feels like I've been waiting 25 years for this very day to come. Edgy! Today's the day I get to completely stupefy you! What? What is the meaning of your outburst, witness? I hate to have to do this, but I have some definitive evidence. Definitive evidence? Iris did indeed come flying over the burning bridge, and I, Lorista Nem, shall prove it! Woo! I didn't expect to ask this again, but we shall be needing your testimony once again. Tell us anything you know concerning the defendants depicted in the sketch, and show us your evidence that this nightmare was actually a reality. Okay, I hope you're ready, Edgy, because I'm going to feed you a whopping serving of pain. I'm an artist. You've been serving us a whopping serving of pain this whole time, trust me. Proof that Iris flew! When I reached Dusky Bridge, she was already gone. I was so worried, so I frantically searched all over for her. That led to me finding a beautiful crystal sphere, half buried in the snow. It's got blood on it! It's obviously the tip of the... I'm sure that Iris was simply wearing a spare hood. After all, no one else could have lost a crystal sphere that night. A crystal sphere? This one. Pretty, isn't it? But finders keepers. That sphere. Where did you find it? Oh, it was in the snow by the bridge. Let me see. Around here somewhere. Looks about right. And it was half buried in the snow. It had pretty much stopped snowing by then. There was still some falling as I walked to the bridge. The court accepts this crystal sphere. That's mine, okay? I want it back afterward. There's something on it. Oh my, it's blood. What? Blood? Well, damn. You ready, Edgy? By tomorrow morning you'll be calling me Master Larry. Yeah, I like the sound of that. No one's gonna push me around anymore. What happened to Lorista Nem? Didn't you want to be called Lorista Nem only a few minutes ago? See? Alright.
Objection!
Larry, that night, there was someone. Someone who lost a crystal sphere. There was? Who? Who was this stupid idiot? Miss Elise Donim, the mentor to a stupid idiot. The victim? I have a photo of her here. And on the end of her staff, you can see a familiar-looking crystal sphere. Hey, that's my photograph! Give it back! Ouch! A crystal sphere like that is quite easy to find. I have one just like it on my brooch. They look nothing alike! In any case, please take a look at this. This is the victim's staff, found at the scene of the crime. Ah, the crystal sphere! It's gone! Oh. What? 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 Just what does this mean? If anyone jumped or flew across the bridge that night, it certainly was not Iris. After all, she was not wearing her hood. More importantly, the crystal sphere found at the landing site was not hers either. That means the one who flew and dropped the sphere was the victim, Miss Elisa Nim? A fool alongside another fool on a fool's errand to reach a foolish conclusion. First of all, the sketch, which I prefer to call a scribble, is ridiculous. People cannot fly, thus it is rejected. You can't do that! I saw it with my own eyes! And this crystal sphere, this is nothing more than a red herring. You honestly believe that? Give it some thought, and I'm sure you'll realize it as well, Miles Edgeworth. Elise Nim was in her room on the night of the murder. There was no reason for her to go to Dusky Bridge. Therefore, this sphere cannot be related to this case. That is all.
Objection!
Miss Franziska von Karma, the only people who will accept that explanation are scatterbrains and clowns. Did somebody say clown? Get out of here, Larry. I mean Mo. Why are you pointing at me? The victim's crystal sphere was found near the bridge on the night of a murder. Yet you expect us to believe this has nothing to do with the case. That crystal sphere. It was probably thrown away at the bridge after the murder. After the murder? There is blood on the crystal sphere, isn't there? This naturally suggests that it was thrown away after the murder took place. The killer placed it there to throw the investigation off the scent, which is the exact same reason that he drew that ridiculous sketch. What? You mean I'm the killer? No way! All joking aside, just when did this crystal sphere appear near the foot of the bridge? Unless this can be proven in some way, I refuse to believe this is related to the case. She makes a valid point. There is no evidence that Elisto Nim left Hazakura Temple that night. However, if somehow this crystal sphere can be proven to have been dropped before the victim was killed, then this case is going to transform into something else entirely. Your response, Mr. Edgeworth? I want your final opinion on the disposition of this crystal sphere. And if it is not related to the case, then this witness who you called will have been nothing more than a monumental waste of time. Prepare yourself for some very appropriate punishment, Miles Edgeworth. Can I prove it? Can I prove that the crystal sphere was dropped before the murder took place? Yes, I can. Can I prove it? That isn't the issue. To simply prove it. That is the only option. That's what he'd do. That's what he'd do. That's the way Phoenix Wright would do this. He's taking inspo from his buddy. Your Honor, allow me to prove something to you. Yeah. I will prove that this crystal sphere is a vital link to solving this case. You will do what? That look in your eyes. You remind me of Phoenix Wright when he is cornered. Like a scared little fool. Like a scared little lamb about to be caught in the jaws of a wolf, I guess. That should come as no surprise. Because right now I am Phoenix Wright and I am indeed cornered. I order you to present your evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Evidence that proves that the crystal sphere was indeed dropped before the murder. Well, there was... it was found half covered in snow.
Take that!
This crystal sphere, it was half buried in the snow, correct? That's right. If it hadn't stopped snowing, then it would have been game over. The snow would have totally covered it. That's all I needed to hear from you, Larry. Your testimony makes one thing quite clear. What? When the crystal sphere was dropped, it was snowing, even if it was ever so slightly. Snowing. On the other hand, let us look at the scene of the murder. As proven earlier today, there is no snow on the victim's body. Ah. Therefore, the crystal sphere must have been dropped before the murder. What? They didn't have time to make a new pursuit theme. Order, order, order! On the night of the murder, the victim did indeed go to Dusky Bridge, and there, something occurred that caused the stuff's crystal sphere to come loose. What could that have been? The sphere. There is some blood on it, isn't there? She was stabbed with the spear, baby! She was stabbed with it. Allow me to raise a certain possibility at this junction. The real crime scene was near the foot of Dusky Bridge. The murder didn't take place in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. Only a fool would suggest such a foolish piece of absolute foolishness! Just who is the fool? And which part is so foolish, Miss Von Karma? Have you been paying any attention this whole time, Miles Edgeworth? The sister saw everything. She saw the victim being killed by the defendant in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. That's not exactly true, now is it? To put it more precisely, what she saw was the murder weapon being removed from the victim's body. That's the same thing! No, it isn't. You said it yourself. Very little blood is actually lost at the moment of a blade's insertion. If you want to talk about when the most blood would be lost from a body, that would be when the blade is removed. If that statement is the truth, then Dusky Bridge could very easily have been the scene of the murder. The murder weapon was not removed, thus there was no bleeding. You are forgetting one vital thing, Miles Edgeworth! Elisto Nim's body was found in Hazakura Temple. On foot, it takes 15 minutes to travel from Dusky Bridge to Hazakura Temple. You mean to suggest that someone carried the body all that way? On the snowmobile, yes. I've made it this far. This is the only place to take this as to the end. I just need to prove that my version of the events is also perfectly plausible. Now, if the defense is ready, the court would like to have an explanation. What happened? How was she carried there? With the snowmobile? On that snowy night, there is one way that a body could have been moved. The snowmobile. As we know, the snowmobile was used that night. It was explained as having been used to dispose of the murder weapon, but it could also have been used to carry a body. Obviously. Order, order, order! This is completely unacceptable, Miles Edgeworth. You've dug yourself into your own grave. What do you mean? The only one who could have used the snowmobile was the defendant. She's the one who moved the body. Doesn't that put the final nail in your coffin? You're too late, Franziska von Karma. And in fact, the defense has proven something else entirely. We have shown that this case requires further investigation. What? Where was the victim, Elise Donim, really killed? If her body was moved, whatever for? And finally, just what does this image mean? Do you even need to think about that? Such a creature could never see the truth, let alone describe it. We saw in the flashback that he was upside down. This witness certainly sits on one of the lowest possible branches of humanity. However, he would never utter a lie that could hurt a girl with whom he is enamored. He drew this, so it is something that actually happened. The defense stands firm on this point. I know him too well. Edgy! Thank you! I know him far too well. That settles it then. I cannot give a verdict under these circumstances. Right. I seem to have fulfilled my part in this. It is just as I thought. Franziska von Karma, you make a wonderful partner. Excuse me? There was one reason, and one alone, for me being here. To expose the darkness lurking in this case, and then pass it on to Wright. That's what this was all about? You could have just told me that from the very beginning. Then I wouldn't have had frenzy whipping. Miles Edgeworth. I don't care about what you were here to do. This was my chance to finally grind you onto my heel. A shame that your chance seems to have slipped you by. What a shame, Francie! This is all your fault. Such a terrible witness. You are an affront to the legal profession. I demand satisfaction! She's so real for that, honestly. Whipped him senseless. Okay. I cannot believe that the witness's testimony relates to an actual event. However, there has to be some sort of answer for the questions it raises. Have his words here today been the truth or lies? Next time we gather in this courtroom, those are the matters that shall be addressed. I'm counting on thorough investigations by both the defense and prosecution. And with this, the rest is up to you, Wright. Court is now adjourned. And that is where I will stop for today. Next time, we'll be doing both investigation parts and probably trial 1? I got a little further than I expected today. Either way, thank you all for coming to this interesting trial. I will see you next time.